Alright, so we're back with a new project. This is the Apex Rolling Block carbine, however you want to say it. These are being sold as wall hangers right now. I would assume from looking at the pictures they probably got anywhere between 200 to 300 of these, and that's pretty much all I can really tell from the photos. 200 to 300 total, both the short rifles and the long rifles. These things are beat. They're beat. So there's some weird things going on with this one too. I'm not super duper familiar with rolling blocks at all. Like I know like number 1s, number 1.5s, number 2s, and number 4s, right? And this one kind of fits somewhere in between the 1 and the 2, the 1.5 and the 2. I'm not 100% familiar, but if somebody wants to correct me, please do. I'm always open to learn new things. The best I can tell is that this started life as either a 43 Spanish or a 43 Egyptian rifle, and it's been rode hard and put away wet its whole life. And I understand why they're selling them as wall hangers. They've taken out the firing pins on all of them that they can, and on the ones that they haven't been able to take out the firing pins, they've welded the breech block shut. They were run over pretty well with an angle grinder or a die grinder before they got put out for sale. This one's got a bunch of grind marks on the actual breech block. It's got grind marks up here on the hammer. The barrel has been profiled with a grinder. That's a nice touch. Speaking of the barrel is completely smooth bore, and it's been crowned with an angle grinder or a die grinder. That's pretty nice too. The chamber is extremely dirty at this point, so I haven't really been able to get in there and make a cast, but from what I can tell it looks like a straight wall cartridge, so it's probably some sort of weird shotgun cartridge, like 410 bore, maybe a 28, I don't know, something weird like that. I also haven't been able to jam a gauge pin down the bore because the crown job that they did left a very nice burr down there at the end. So again, haven't gotten a chance to get down in there, but this is what you get for, you know, $289 before shipping and tax. If you ask me, is it worth it? No. But I mean, that's the whole point. You live and you learn, right? But we're gonna make something cool out of this. So my idea is, I've seen rolling block number 4s. Those are the single shot 22 target rifles, and I really like those. I think they're pretty neat. So what my plan is for this is that it's going to get completely disassembled, it's going to get rebarreled, relined, and it's going to get a bunch of machine work done, and it's going to get turned into what I would consider a contemporary number 4 sporter. So, you know, take this apart. This has zero collector's value, so don't worry. Take it apart, clean it up really well, try, keyword try, to polish out a lot of this pitting, things like that. We'll crank off this old barrel. I've got a 30 caliber unchambered barrel on the way that I'm going to reline to 22 caliber, chamber it, make a new extractor. The breech block needs to be filled in either with a permanently affixed bolt or weld, and then re-drilled for an offset rimfire firing pin. Springs need to be worked on. I actually have some flat spring stock coming in, so that'll be another thing to go on there. The stock needs a lot of work. Up here, where the receiver tang and the trigger guard fit, the wood here, the wood does not fit whatsoever at all. I mean, this was what I would consider, looking at it, a handmade stock. It looks like it was also profiled with a grinder or something of that sort, maybe a really big rasp and then sanded over. Nice brass butt plate though. I mean, that thing's shiny. You know, you can also tell from the marks on the butt plate where they slammed it onto the ground or onto the concrete to get it to fit over the tangs. So that's something that we're also going to address. And then after all that work, I got this Lyman 422 Expert in recently, and it's sitting around. It's in rough shape. It's a rimfire scope. It's from the 30s. I can't really find out much about it, but I mean, you can tell looking at it, it's seen better days. So what I might do is end up putting this on here and making it, you know, kind of like a little nicer, stuff like that. Give it a little piece of glass. The crosshairs in this are impossible to see, so I got to clean that up really well. But we'll go through all that sort of thing. Also, on the subject of this, I know a lot of you guys have been getting at me talking about the M4957 series, and the reason that those were taken down, according to YouTube, is that it depicted literally showing people how to make guns, right? I'm not going to fight that. Well, I tried fighting it and it didn't work. But at the same time, it's being re-edited. I've been very busy recently, but it's being re-edited in order to cut out all the machine work. So basically it just starts off as parts and ends up as finished product. That's the way that the cookie crumbles. You know, sometimes you got to play by the rules. I've also been looking at different different video hosting sites, whatever. So when we do this project, I'm going to film it like I did the M4957 series, but I'm going to cut out all the, you know, what they consider to be prohibited knowledge. So we'll go from there. But first step is going to be to tear this thing apart, and I'll really show you what this thing looks like on the inside. And I'm going to show you, again, I don't really think this is worth the money that they're charging, considering that you can get a functional rolling block for the same price. But we'll get into that in a minute. Alright, so this right here, this is what you get for $289 before tax. This is exactly what you're going to get. Well, representative of what you're going to get. This thing is beat. Beat, I tell you. I mean, it's trashed. You know, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So the receiver, it's still usable. That's what I'm going to do with it. Luckily, whatever armorer had the displeasure of working on this before I got my hands on it, peened over all the screws, so they had to get drilled out. This screw still has to be finished drilling out. It snapped, the head of this, which holds the extractor on, snapped off when I was torquing off the barrel. By the way, the barrel's on there like a son of a bitch. I mean, it is on there tight. So I had to get out the old 4-foot extension and break that thing loose after hitting it with the blowtorch. But there you go. Another fun thing that they did was they stamped, I guess, an inventory number, A169, directly over the screw, so it was impossible to remove. That was nice of them. But here's the receiver. The threads still look okay. This is going to get a bath in the ultrasonic cleaner before anything, and then I'm really going to do some work to it. What I'm planning on doing is, since these two pins are very loose, not only in their bores back here, but they're also loose in their hammer and block respectively, which we'll get to that in a minute. My plan is I'm probably going to try and weld just a little bit on the inside of these holes to kind of fill them up and make those pins a little bit more snug. But moving on from there, here's our breech block. And you can say, that looks a little bit different. Yeah, it's because it's been polished. So what they did was they realized these things looked ugly as shit. So what they did was I'm not saying Apex did, I'm saying whoever they got them from maybe. They took them and they polished them. Took them, basically just sat them down on some sandpaper or something, polished them like that. They didn't do a very good job because it's loose. It's not flat anymore. Same thing on this side. And then what they did was they deburred it with an angle grinder or a die grinder. And in the process, they completely overshadowed where the pin or the screw is supposed to be to take out and replace the firing pin. So I got to find that. I'm going to acid etch it and see if I can find that and bring it back out to size, or bring out the head of the screw or the pin or whatever. That way I can see where it is. Yeah, the face of it looks all right. Not too special. Hammer. Again, I mean, it's been there, it's done that, it's beat. This one hasn't been completely destroyed by Mr. Angle Grinder. However, they did take off that factory checkering up here, which I was kind of actually pissed about. So I'll probably just polish that out, make it real smooth. I'm gonna bob this hammer down a little bit too, just to maybe, you know, bring it to something like that, make it look nice. Trigger groups completely trashed. When they were fitting, these are Mixmasters from what I've gathered, because none of these parts have the same patina on any of them. So my guess is that once they were piecing them together, they put in this new mainspring for the hammer, and they realized it wouldn't fit. So what they did was they ground the very, let's see if you can see that. Yeah, they ground the top edge of the spring off. The spring, the part of the spring that actually helps keep the hammer all the way down and not have it flopping around, which, by the way, I don't know if you noticed that, but this hammer flops around with this spring, so that spring's getting replaced. The block locking lever is frozen in place completely. I can't get it to move no matter what I do, so that's got to get fixed. There is still a spring underneath of it. Well, at least there's the screw head and what looks like a spring underneath of it. So we'll see if that's actually in there. See if we can figure out a way to get this thing operable again. Again, I mean, like, I got the new spring kit coming. The numbers between the receiver and this don't match. This is G767, and this is, let's see, 55,107. So there's that. The latest, or I should say the earliest date that I can find back here on the tang, which you're not going to be able to read because it's completely trashed. It's 1866. Again, hard to see, but there's that. Barrel. Dunzo. There's nothing left that can be saved out of this. Each one of these, they said, was going to have this welded on bead sight and then a mix of rear sights. So this one's actually had a dovetail staked in place, and it looks like your typical sporting shotgun sight. There's a couple that they have online with the pictures showing a like a ladder rear sight, an elevator rear sight. Here's the number right here, 161, or NO161 right there. And then here's that wonderful crowning job I was telling you about. Look at that. That looks nice. It's top-notch quality right there. But oh well. So the barrel's getting replaced no matter what. And yeah, here's one of the screws I had to drill out. Looks nice. The hardware that came with this is obviously some hardware store special stuff that had the threads stripped off of it. The key is not correct. Again, I mean, this thing, it's trashed. Stock looks like a cut down of some sort of original, because it's got a retaining band or a spring retaining groove right there. I'm not sure if this is original to this style of rifle. Again, I don't know much about rolling blocks, but I don't know, it fits on something. But yeah, there's that, and then we'll be documenting more of the process going along here. Hopefully we can make this worth the effort, but we'll see. It'll be a fun project, and we'll make it look as nice as we possibly can. But for now, that's about all I can do with this. Again, I got the parts on the way, and we'll go from there. So thanks a lot for watching, and happy building.